Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a like and a comment.
And you can share with a friend if you enjoy it and subscribe so you're notified of new videos.
Thanks and enjoy the show.
Many homeowners are considering replacement windows and vinyl siding to improve their homes. We're going to use them to make a big difference on this home. Stay with us.
Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford, the voice of home improvement, with projects, tips, and ideas to help you improve your home.
50 years ago, this was the way to go to have a low-maintenance, energy-efficient home. Use as much brick as you possibly could on the outside of your home, and then limit the amount of wood that you have that require a good bit of painting and maintenance on that. Also, aluminum windows were very popular because it required no painting at all. The problem is, over the years with weathering, homeowners have realized there's a lot of maintenance required in keeping the exterior wood looking good, and you can see what can happen to wood shutters on the outside of the home. Also, the problem with aluminum windows like this is it allows the hot and the cold air to transfer to the inside through the metal itself, costing you a lot of money on your energy bill. Well, there's some better options these days. Brick, still a great idea, but homeowners are realizing how much money they can save on their energy bill by changing out inefficient windows. Now, a window like this, it's a vinyl replacement window, has double pane glass, so you have 2 layers of glass with an air gap between it that makes it so much more efficient than a single pane window like we have in this home. Also, to cover all of the paintable surfaces with a vinyl material makes that a lot easier to keep it looking good on the outside. Now, if you've taken the leap a few years ago and installed vinyl siding on the outside of your home and it's looking a little dingy or a little old, we'll show you a way to revitalize that vinyl and make it look brand new again. And along the way, we have some other tips for you to make your home a little more maintenance-free. Stay with us. Our first step in improving the looks of the exterior of this home and making it more low maintenance is to cover what previously had to be painted every 5 to 10 years, the overhang, the freeze board, and the soffit area, covering it completely with vinyl that only has to be washed every few years. But the first thing we had to do is replace the original eave strip. Greg dropped by to help us out on this, and this originally was a galvanized piece of flashing that had been painted several times over the years, which means it would have to be painted some more in the years ahead. So replacing it with a vinyl coated aluminum will make such a difference because this never has to be painted and is fairly easy to replace. And this will work very nicely in conjunction with the vinyl soffit. Boy, this is going to change the looks of this house drastically. The vinyl job begins, oddly enough, with a piece of coated aluminum which is cut to size, then bent in a metal brake and formed to wrap over the freeze board. On top of it, a strip of J-channel is nailed to hold the soffit sections in that will go in next. Perforated pieces are used over existing soffit vents to maintain the attic ventilation. The soffit pieces hook to each other and then are stapled to the wood soffit above. Another piece of coated metal wraps the fascia board before we slip on the new eave strip and nail it in place. The gable on this house will also be covered, but first we have to remove all the batten strips and trim up the lower edge. Foam board over the gables will create a flat, smooth surface for the vinyl material that's going on top of it. This house is already looking a lot better now that the overhangs have been completely covered with the vinyl material. But now they're concentrating on the front gable that's the most visible area of the house and the one spot that's going to make more difference than anything else. Now, what they're using is a vinyl material that looks very similar to wood shakes. We chose this material not only because it looks great and is low maintenance, but also because of its rugged design. These panels are each very rigid and they lock together tightly. That means they'll stay put and maintain their clean, straight lines over time. That's good because one of the chief complaints you hear about vinyl is that it sometimes looks very flimsy. This stuff definitely is not flimsy. The manufacturer, Crane Performance Siding, has also addressed that concern with a lap siding called Crane Board. This material has a solid core backing that gives it a straight, natural-looking profile and really much more authentic-looking shadow lines. The solid core system is much more impact resistant than typical vinyl siding, and it provides additional insulation value to the home. Our vinyl crew is almost complete. Just a few little finishing touches like what we have here on the bottom of this beam right at the front door. Now the reason they haven't completed this yet is we've just installed a temporary brace where we removed an old rusty column. Now we're going to replace it with another column that'll never need painting, just like we've done on all of the overhang and the gable on this house. Now I love the simulated wood shake look. I mean, you almost have to touch it to know that it's not real wood. Now, this particular job for all of the materials and labor to cover all of this area with vinyl cost around $3,500. Now, of course, it depends on where you are and what part of the country and what type of vinyl that you may select in terms of the quality will determine how much that will be. But just think about it. A professional painter would probably charge about half that amount to simply just paint the outside of the house. So 2 paint jobs equal vinyl that never needs to be painted makes a lot of sense. Now, our next part of the improvements on this house involve changing out all of the aluminum windows, which will drastically improve the look of this house, but also the energy efficiency. While we're working on this, check out this week's simple solution.
It's time for this week's simple solution from home repair expert Joe Truini. Brought to you by Krylon. Innovation inspired.
Joe, I assume this week's tip has to do with sanding.
It does, not so much with the task of actually sanding, but with storing sandpaper and making it easy to find.
Okay.
As you know, in the workshop you have lots of different sanders and they take all different sizes and grits of paper. So I found an easy way to organize it is through this expandable folder that I bought at a office supply store. It's for filing different pieces of paper, and then I used little manila folders and I just labeled it and put this is quarter sheets of 80 grit, and then you can just put it right in there. It makes it really easy to not only find because they're all labeled, but you can keep it separated and neat, nice and flat.
Well, that must work really well to keep it flat, because if you try to, you know, put some sandpaper up on the shelf, it'll curl up.
Right, the humidity makes it curl.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
And you can see this one only costs a few dollars. You can hold up to like 30 or 32 different folders, and I actually have a couple extra ones back here that are blank that I'll just fill in as I need it.
I also see one there for tool manuals. That's real handy because you're always misplacing those things.
Right. Tool manuals, you can also use it for plans, project plans, or magazine articles that you've saved. Just slip them right in there. Fold up, keeps the dust out, leave it on the shelf.
Great idea. I can't believe how much better this house looks by just putting a little bit of vinyl around the upper part of the exterior of the house. Now, when we started, this 50-year-old house had a fairly tired looking facade and needed a little bit of help, and the paint job was so-so, needed a little work there. But by covering everything up, we'll never have to worry about painting, and it certainly has improved the curb appeal tremendously. Next step, replacing all of the old tired windows. Greg's already gotten a good start on that by removing all of the caulk and glazing around the outside perimeter. From the inside, he removes the screws that hold the window in place and cuts through the caulk around the perimeter. From here, it's just gentle persuasion until the unit is completely free and can be removed. A little more persuasion for the old nailing flange, and we're ready for the new vinyl window. These replacement units are built to fit within the opening, so Greg checks the gap around it for consistency and the frame for level. He uses shims to make minor adjustments because the window has to be level and plumb or it won't open properly. The unit is secured in place with long screws in the sides, top, and bottom. This handy plastic trim piece is cut to fit the remaining gap at the bottom of the windows before we apply a silicone sealant around the edges. One thing that's great about this type of replacement window is you're not having to disturb any of the material on the outside of your house. In this case, it's bricks, but it could be stucco or vinyl siding or maybe even wood. Now that's true on this project except for one case, this window. Now instead of replacing it with a window, we're replacing it with a vinyl double door unit that'll open to the inside. Now this is a den that we're installing this in, and that'll be perfect because plans are for steps to come down and a nice patio to be created here. So while the windows are being replaced, this door is going in. Now before we didn't have to worry about any removal of bricks, but on this one, we've got a lot of bricks to take out. We make plenty of measurements and mark the opening carefully before cutting into the bricks with a masonry blade. This is slow, dusty work, but it's necessary to get a clean opening. Next, we chisel out the bricks, being careful to save as many as possible because we'll need them later to lace back in around the door. The windows come out just as before, but this time we also attack the wall beneath it. When the opening is clean, the new door unit goes in, and just like the windows, it's shimmed and leveled before it's locked in place with screws. Finally, the bricks are laced back around the door with Greg making the cuts where necessary until the new patio entry is complete. As Greg finishes up the last few openings, Bill Laser from Simonton Windows, the company who built these units, drops by to check on the progress. Now, vinyl windows, certainly a lot more popular than they've ever been before. They're going in all kinds of different houses. What are some of the advantages of vinyl?
Well, several years ago, vinyl became the most popular selling material for windows, above wood and aluminum. I think because of its cost effectiveness and the fact that it's virtually maintenance free, it resists moisture and chipping and splitting, you really don't have to really do anything to maintain them. Plus, they're very thermally efficient.
That was one of the big advantages that we saw right off the bat, particularly on this house, is putting a low maintenance window in is one of the keys, but also the look of it and the ease that it went in was really impressive.
Well, we make our custom retrofit windows on the 1/8 of an inch. So when you order the size, you get them in 7 days. And probably, once you got the frame out, this only probably took less than an hour to put in, I would guess.
Yeah, it didn't take long at all. Of course, collapsing the old aluminum window was almost a pleasure because it was in such bad shape. And then these going in and then just a little bit of caulking around, really all that's necessary. Now, what's the difference between a replacement window and a window that's designed for new construction other than the nailing flange that's around it?
Well, I think with a replacement window, you're getting a much more substantial window. You get a 3.5-inch frame versus a 2 15/16 standard new construction window. So you're getting a lot more sturdy vinyl in the process.
I see.
You also have a lot more options with your replacement windows. As homeowners want to design, as they replace windows, they want to put more features and benefits in. So you have grid options. These are colonial flat grids, but they also come in sculptured, brass, wood grain. You have a wood grain option on the interior. You have some brass options, and different grid patterns like perimeter and prairie grids.
Okay,
as well.
now I know these are casement windows that pivot out, which certainly look nice in this particular house, but I guess the design could have also been the double hung window.
Well, we offer a full line of styles: double hungs, casements, awnings, picture windows, sliding windows, geometrics, and also the accompanying doors as well too.
Yeah, we're definitely proud of them, and it was easy to, like I say, implement them, and I know the energy efficiency is going to make a big difference. And thanks for all the information, Bill.
You're welcome.
You know, it's a great product, and here's another great product on our best new product of the week.
Let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product, brought to you by the Home Depot.
Trying to decide on a color for an interior paint job can be overwhelming. There's so many different colors, so many different brands, so many different finishes. It's hard to really make a decision on the exact color that you may want in your house. Plus, the colors here under this particular light may be a lot different than the color conditions you have in the room that you're painting. Now, in the past, when homeowners have had a tough time trying to decide on exactly what color to choose, I've suggested buying a quart of each so that you can put a little bit on the wall here, a little bit on the wall there, and easier to make that decision. Well, that can get kind of expensive with a quart of paint being anywhere from $10 to $15. Here's a more practical approach to that. Ralph Lauren's created these color tester pouches that are available in a variety of their more popular colors, and what it basically consists of is a small pouch of paint. You can kind of mix it up with your hands like this and then cut the corner off, then pour that in a disposable container and apply it to the wall. Now, it's recommended that you apply 2 coats like you would on a normal paint job, allow it to dry thoroughly, then you can see exactly what it'll look like in your lighting conditions, how it relates to your floor, maybe a piece of furniture you're trying to blend in. And this is a lot more reasonable solution to this problem at only $4 a pouch. The only surfaces that will have to be painted on the outside of this home, the front door and the side door, but they won't require much maintenance because they're both covered. This with a little front porch here on the front, and over on the side we have a nice little carport to protect it from the elements of the weather that really can cause you problems. Well, we did replace one problem that this house has had for a long time, the wrought iron column that was so rusty and flaky it really gave you a kind of a bad feeling when you walked up to the front door. Well, we replaced it with a very low maintenance fiberglass column. Now, one of the nice things about fiberglass, you don't have to paint it, but you can if you want to change it, change the color of it, and it's strong enough to support a load that we have, and most columns will have some type of load on it. Good way to go here. Now, it was very easy to install after we got rid of the old rusty wrought iron column. Greg put in a temporary brace to support the porch roof while he removed the old column. The quick answer to getting the iron column out was cutting it in two with a reciprocating saw because of the way it was wedged in. Once it was apart, the column came right out. Greg measured the height for the new column, then marked it to be cut. Square cuts were important because the column was too thick to cut in just one pass. The new column went into place with the top and bottom pieces already slipped over it. When it was properly aligned, the temporary brace came out and the trim pieces were secured. The fiberglass column definitely looks better than the old wrought iron. Now, something else that looks a lot better on this house than what was originally here, the old wooden shutters. Now, we've replaced them all with vinyl shutters, and if you remember, the original wooden shutters were falling apart and seen their better day. Now, with the solid vinyl shutters that are available in a number of different colors, we don't have to worry about any painting or virtually no maintenance at all, maybe just a little cleaning from time to time. Now, this size, a pair, only $25 to $30, but like anything you buy for your home, you need to make sure it's installed right. First, we laid out the mounting hole locations and drilled them while the shutters were on the ground. Then we put the shutters in place to mark the hole locations on the wall. This big hammer drill vibrates the bit as it drills into the brick, a real time saver if you're drilling a lot of holes in masonry. Although vinyl shutters aren't heavy, it is important that they lay flat and be secured. These particular shutters came with a mounting pin that you simply tap into the hole you've drilled and locks them in place. Just a couple more vinyl shutters to be installed and we're completely through with our low maintenance exterior on this home. Now, I said low maintenance, not no maintenance, because there still has to be a fair amount of cleaning in order for this to look as good as it does now years down the road. Because if you allow dirt and grime to build up on these surfaces, it can actually affect the finish. Let me give you a good example. Now, recently we were building an addition onto the back of a home and it had vinyl siding, so I saved a few of the pieces that we removed in order to build the addition, and this is a perfect example of what vinyl siding will look like if it's installed and obviously never cleaned. Now, certainly cleaning these surfaces of the shutter and the vinyl siding will make it look better, but there's also a way to revitalize that finish. We found a new product that not only cleans but actually restores the luster of weathered vinyl building materials. This kit from Flood includes an extremely effective cleaner and a great scrub brush. But what really makes it different is the Restorer compound, which goes on with an ordinary paintbrush. It goes on your vinyl siding or vinyl shutters milky white, but as it dries, it revitalizes the vinyl surface, returning its original sheen and protecting it from future fading. Hey, next, our Around the Yard.
Let's head outside for Around the Yard with lawn and garden expert Tricia Craven-Worley. Brought to you by TimberTech Composite Decking.
Tricia has a tip for us on how you can improve the health of your plants by using gypsum. Now, when I think of gypsum, I think of all the wallboard we use on so many of our projects.
Well, this is one and the same.
Well, how does it work? How does it help?
Well, gypsum is a natural substance, and it's something that I use all throughout the garden. You know, when you're in your garden, there are certain paths that you take and you walk and it compacts the soil. Gypsum is one of those things that helps break up the soil, and I use it all throughout my garden. Now, I'm putting it here under the camellias. Now, something that you don't want to do under the camellias is you don't want to cultivate it because too deeply. I scratch it in, but the camellia roots are really close to the surface, so I don't want to do that. Obviously, the soil's not compacted here,
right,
but this gypsum helps the water filtrate through all of it.
And you just put just a small layer over the ground around the base of it.
That's what I do. And also I want to remind you that when you're doing this, you want to make sure you don't do it on a windy day because this isn't good to breathe in.
I see.
So you want to make sure that either there's no wind or you're wearing some kind of protective mask. Well, the nice people that produce this gypsum for us also give us some tips on the back about how much to use. For example, this says normal soil spread and water 50 pounds to per 1,000 square feet.
Okay, so it goes a long ways.
It goes a real long ways, and it's not too expensive either.
Well, maybe we can use up all the scraps we've had on a few jobs here lately.
Well, we could give that a try.
Sure. The low maintenance approach we used on this house has drastically improved the curb appeal of the home. And if you remember what it looked like before we started, I think you'll agree. It was a little gloomy outside, definitely very maintenance intensive because of all of the woodwork on the gable and around the eaves that would require a lot of sanding, cleaning, and painting every few years. Well, we spent about $10,000 to change all of that with this house for the materials and labor that were necessary to install all of the vinyl siding, vinyl shutters, all the replacement windows, and the front column. But it's actually added more than that to the resale value of the home. Plus, it'll be so easy to maintain the look of this home in the way that we approached it. And as an added benefit, the homeowners will realize a little bit of a dividend every month when they see their lower utility bills. Now, if you have a house that's really in need of a little repairs on the outside and you're just tired of those maintenance tasks, you may consider some of the things we've shared with you this week. Hey, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified of new videos.
And be sure to click around and watch some more videos while you're here.